special kind of evil. People, what you are about to hear is the most depraved, heinous, sadistic case of elder abuse ever committed in Dallas County. Please listen as a son, me, speaks to his 87-year-old mother about her lack of proper care to treat her terminal cancer. The audio tape has been transcribed so that you can read along on your own computers. Please listen. Now, I am no videographer. I'm far from it. I only have 20 minutes to get this tape complete and up on YouTube. So pay attention. The message that you hear is much more important than the way it looks. There's no great videography going on here. I'm going to play this. Read along with the transcripts if you can, as my mother and I talk while she's on her deathbed.
120 times before anybody else. Just my mother. Everybody here. She's glad you had to ring 120 times to see my mother. I had, but I just couldn't get all of them over. And you said you gonna come spend a couple of weeks with Power, a couple of weeks with me. When you were there, but that's not fine now. I got over here. And I said, look at this. I ain't got no money. I ain't got no money. That's what I have for Mr. 29. Mr. 29. Today. Tomorrow. My check rolls over. That's nothing. That's it. I get some. Okay. That's us getting some money. Okay. Otherwise, I have a bill. And you were out here at Powell's, couldn't get the medication? I couldn't have them. Okay. Okay, I showed you. Okay, all right. Did you ever get the medication? I tried to look ago after it was the medication for medication was getting me out bad, and for pain, and for Tylenol, work for pain. And so I decided to leave that side. Leave that side because when the stuff get out of my stomach, it worries me anyhow. Yesterday, June 28th, 2004, Saturday, June 28th. Tomorrow's 29th, yeah. So payday was Friday. I go to school. Well, it was the 27th. Okay, sir. Salary didn't pay. So you're doing without your paying the pay and the medication. That's what your prescription. So you just didn't get the medicine. So I didn't get it. I decided that was all worth here for the pain. Okay. So you got me some Tylenol. Okay, good. Otherwise, I got nothing to do now. But I got something in my mouth. Okay. When I show you ain't that good, I thought maybe you had that little stuff. When I show everything, I'll get you your money out here. I'll get that medicine for you. You don't have to sell a kidney out here. No. I'll sell with us and get the medicine. That's all. You might have to sell it for $600. I will sell the Dodge for $600 and miss all the rest to get that medicine. Okay. I found out. The medicine was for the appetite. Did the doctor write you a prescription for it? Yeah. Are you a doctor? No, but I'm trying to tell you that you're the doctors in this house. I talk to you. Okay, I just love you to death. I'm sorry. My adrenaline is running because it took me 20 minutes. But that's you trying to put your calm down so you understand. I don't need no medicine for the appetite. That's what the medicine for the appetite. I want something to get in my stomach. To get in the trouble like it is. And for pain, the powers always wonderful. I've had the pain and take time out to stop it. So all I want to do is pain to stop, regardless of the stop. That's what I want you to understand. You're taking Tylenol for cancer. Tylenol for pain.
Now, after you've heard that, you may wonder what's so heinous or sadistic about it. Here are the facts. My mother was left on her deathbed taking only Tylenol. Okay? My mother a Christian woman who never missed a Sunday of church, had been diagnosed in mid-April of 2008 with terminal cancer. She had terminal cancer in virtually every organ of her torso. She had been operated on in March 2007 for colon cancer. The cancer had metastasized, spread, and returned in 2008. My sister, Paula Dunn Brown, and brother-in-law, Reverend Armand Brown, decided that they would take my mother into their home to care for her until her death. The Reverend Armand Brown is the CEO of A.W. Brown Fellowship Charter School. My sister, Paula Dunn Brown, is the school's principal and executive director. Even though they never helped me with my mother after her first cancer, I figured they wanted to make up for that when they took my mother into their 5,100 square foot home at 1400 Country Ridge Drive in DeSoto, Texas. I could not have been more wrong. They took her in on Monday, June 2nd, 2008. Yes, I said 2004 on the tape, but that was a mistake. My mother was well, and my father was alive in 2004. By June 10th, 2008, the couple had changed my mother's will using their attorney, Lorenzo Brown. No relation. This will virtually cut me out. We will get to that later. But the sadistic part is their failure to medicate my mother as she was on her deathbed. On the tape, you hear my mother say that since she came out to my sister's home and wrote a $600 check, she had to let her medicine go. I'm going to explain to you what our family income was that month and what my mother's medicine was for. You see, you've never heard a case like this. In June of 2008, here is my family's income. June 2008, family income. Reverend Brown made $11,166 from the school alone. That doesn't include his salary as a pastor of Fellowship Baptist Church. Paula Brown made $83.33. Mother made $5,000. I made $6,500. Our total family income was $31,999 for that particular month. Okay, out of 4 people. Now, my mother's prescriptions was for hydrocodone for pain, and it was also for Lactulose. The prescription had been written by Dr. David Lee Walters of Dallas. His office is at 7979 Virginia Drive. Now, the hydrocodone was for pain, and the Lactulose was for something maybe even more important. You see, the Lactulose was to ease the stomach so that she could eat, and it also was for another more important function. You see, our bodies, yours and mine, make ammonia naturally. In a healthy person, their liver naturally cleans out the ammonia. My mother had liver cancer. In a person who has liver cancer, such as my mother, Lactulose is prescribed so that the ammonia doesn't flow straight through the liver to the brain, and when the ammonia flows straight to the liver and to the brain, it causes first confusion, then coma, then death. You can go on the internet and see where people complain that when they don't get their lactulose, they get confused. Now that's the spelling of the word right there, Lactulose, lactulose. Okay, and now we come to my mother's will. The date of her new will that they wrote for my mother is now the will is what you're looking at right here. The date of the new will was turned into Dallas County is the 10th day of June 2008. You can see that it's the 10th day of June 2008. Pauline Dunn, last will and testament. Okay, now on the first line, read along, it says, I, Pauline Dunn, of the county of Dallas and the state of Texas, being in good health and of sound and disposing mind. Now, let me ask you this, and it goes on and on. Now, get this. On June 28th, 2008, I found my mother being treated with only Tylenol for terminal cancer. That was 18 days after she had had a will turned in on her. On the tape, she says she couldn't afford her medicine. You know what the medicine cost? Hydrocodone and lactulose combined, it comes up to $40. That's right, $40. That's one point. That was on a Saturday. That Monday, I went straight to her doctor's office. I was standing at his door when they opened it. When I went to my sister's house after that on that Monday, they never let me in that house again to see my mother. So I have no idea whether she was medicated between June 28th and August 16th when she died. Now, the other point is that Lorenzo Brown, the president of the school board of directors of the A.W. Brown Fellowship Charter School, stated that my mother was in good health, and in the will he wrote, so why is the same month did this attorney give a luncheon celebrating her life because she was dying of cancer? He gave it at Papado's Seafood on Cockrell Hill Road. Either she's in good health or she's dying of cancer. It can't be both ways. One of these is a lie. A particular note, Mr. Brown was on what laymen would call probation with the State Bar of Texas when he wrote the will. He was under disciplinary action from 2007 to 2009. He had multiple disciplinary actions before him with the State Bar, before this with the State Bar of Texas. He's probably not the number one lawyer as far as not getting disciplinary actions. Now in the new will, my mother's residence at 3635 Blue Ridge. If you look at that will on page 2, it says that my mother's I give, devise, and bequeath my real estate located at 3635 Blue Ridge Boulevard, Dallas, Texas, Dallas County, to my daughter, Paula Dunn Brown. That's the one who didn't give her pain medication or the lactulose when she was in bed. A special kind of evil. Now, in the old will, written in September of 1974, leaves everything equally to, as she says, my beloved children, James Williams Dunn and Paula Dunn Brown, to share alike. This is the will that was made up in 1974. To my beloved children, Paula Yvonne Dunn and James Williams Dunn, to share alike in fee simple. So in other words, after she had been at my mother's house for only a few days, Mrs. Brown took that liberty, Paula Dunn Brown, took that liberty to cut me out of my mother's will. And remember this, now I come to the really heinous part. While my mother was dying of terminal cancer and suffering for want of $40 worth of medicine, my sister bought a new 2009 Mercedes CLS 550. Yeah, you heard that right. While my mother suffered, my sister Paula Dunn Brown bought a Mercedes CLS 550. That's a $90,000 car, people. In case anyone doesn't know, that particular Mercedes costs you about $90,000 to get. All right, but that's not all. That's far from all. Now let's address what they do or did to the taxpayers, as they said they were exemplary school. This charter school was started in the fall of 1998, and by 2001-2002 school year, the school was rated exemplary by the state of Texas as far as performance on state tests. Since its inception, Reverend and Mrs. Brown had tried to get me to teach at the school. I refused because I was making much more money at a company called ADN Communications, where I won top honors for sales. I had an unneeded night job working for Thousand Trails Camping, where I also earned top honors for sale. I mean, the top trophies out of everybody working there. I always preferred commission jobs to salaried jobs, because with commission jobs, I work and I make what I want to make. I lived in the 75229 zip code because I made that much money. That's the richest zip code in Dallas, Texas. In 2002, with my father's dementia getting worse by the day, I relented and took a job at A.W. Brown as a language arts instructor for only $39,000 a year. It's like a starvation salary. I held a lifetime teaching certificate, and my skills were such that when I left Skyline, a 13-page feature article written by me was published in the Dallas Observer. You can see that's kind of the cover of the Dallas Observer. I didn't get the whole thing. Okay, that was in October. It was in one of the October editions. After working at A.W. Brown for a really short time, I noticed that many of the students who had been recognized by the state for their excellence in reading the prior year could actually not read at all. The school had systematically cheated on the test and cheated these children out of their education. Almost all of the children were black. Appalled over a 2-day period, I recorded the children telling me how they were led to cheat on the state test. Now, after you watch this entire video, write this down. Go to AWBCHT1, AWBCHT2, AWBCHT3 on YouTube, and you can hear those 3 tapes. That's AWBCHT1, AWBCHT2, and AWBCHT3. And you can hear those children, what they told me. When my co-teacher, Mr. Jeremy Bratcher, heard about the tapes, he told Mrs. Brown, and that's when Mrs. Brown and I clashed, and we've never been close sisters and brothers again. I told her that the most important year for reading was 4th grade. Cheating on those students and giving them grades is going to make them part of the particular society that becomes part of Lyndon Johnson and Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Lyndon Johnson's Great Society and Franklin Delano Roosevelt's New Deal Society that made people parasites. People didn't have to work anymore. See, when I was 9 years old, my dad put me on the lawns and I learned to work. I worked at McDonald's and mowed lawns when I was in college. I worked for John Eagle of the Eagle family dealerships. Eagle taught me to work and be honest. John Eagle said, if you lie to a customer, you're fired. If you ever lie on this lot, you're fired. The owner of the lot will never lie to you. We don't lie at John Eagle. Integrity gets you everywhere. Eagle has 10 dealerships now. He had 2 when I was at Eagle. And as for excellence, when I was in school, I had a professor named F. Lee Taylor came in and said that ethnic minorities could not pass his class. It was the last class I had to take in college. So I worked and worked and worked and worked, and I made an A in that class. I'm black, I made an A, and he asked me to study for a master's degree with him. I declined. When I worked at the insurance office of Mark Hatcher, everybody in that office told me they had to take the insurance test 3 and 4 and 5 times before they passed it. I worked my butt off and I passed it the first time with a 73, which is low, but I passed it the first time. That's because I work. And these kids, I worried about how long black people would need affirmative action to get anywhere. In 2002, we were 34 years removed from Martin Luther King's death and 34 years removed from the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Wasn't it time we actually taught these children so they could stand on their own feet with no crutch and not depend on minority set-asides and affirmative action? I caught holy hell for this. But I'll tell you this. Some of those children who had been commended by the state, I had tested by special education, and the very next year they were placed in special education classes because they couldn't read. I have their records. People, this is cheating the children. It's cheating the state taxpayers. It was ongoing throughout. It was ongoing, but through my actions and a man in the Attorney General Greg Abbott's office, it has ceased. And now that it's ceased, that school has fallen from the top 20% in the state down to the bottom 15%. And on the Children at Risk website, it is listed as one of the worst schools to send your children to in the state of Texas. I'll come back to that later, but listen to AWBCHT 1, AWBCHT 2, AWBCHT 3. But now I'm going to tell you what they did to the taxpayers. Since the inception of this school in 1998, A.W. Brown School has collected approximately $150 million of your tax money. That's 150 million times what John Wiley Price has done. Now, you, a taxpayer, must pay property taxes to support public schools. And you trust the public schools. You've been cheated. You deserve answers. You should be a steward of your money and a good steward. Who am I? I'm James Dunn. I'm the reason, and the reason why I take education so seriously is because in 1964-65 classes at Gabe P. Allen Elementary that integrated Dallas schools, I was there. It was a very unpleasant year. My academic career became even more tragic when at the age of 12, I went to Thomas Edison Middle School and was raped by two little boys at the school when I was in the 7th grade. The next year, I was placed in an honors class, wrote a play, and became a star. In the 9th grade, I was president of the student council. By 10th grade, I was only one of the student council officers who was not a senior in school. I skipped 11th grade and was vice president of the student council as a senior. I was also in the National Honor Society, drama club president. I was in the marching band, concert band, jazz band. I graduated with multiple scholarships and went to the University of Texas at Austin on a 4-year scholarship. But all was not well. In 1974, 8 L.G. Pinkston High School students had been sent to UT on scholarships. None ever graduated. We had been given we had not been given the background in high school to succeed at UT. I lasted the longest. That was until 1980. I transferred to UT Arlington, where I eventually did graduate in 1984 with degrees in sociology and English, and I also received a lifetime teaching certificate. I'm the only one of those 8 L.G. Pinkston graduates to ever earn a degree today. I decided that all of the students of my classes would be equipped and ready for college when I taught at David W. Carter High School in 85, 86, and Skyline High School in 86 to 92. That was why I was so well regarded as a teacher. I was the only teacher that met my students in the library every Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 5 p.m. downtown. You're not on the payroll to do that, but I did. Ask anyone who worked with me at Skyline. Not only did I work at school, I worked hard in the community. February 1987, I, along with my students, led the city of Dallas in trying to get Texas Stadium renamed Tom Landry Stadium. Here is the front page article about us. Should Texas Stadium be renamed Tom Landry Stadium, from the Dallas Morning News in 1987. That was an exercise showing the power of the written word. In 1992, I led the nation in trying to get parents to have to visit their child's school for the per-child tax deduction. There is an article about that in 1992, and of course, there is my name. And in 2004, I led my neighborhood, Kimball Estates, in trying to keep a developer from building homes that were not architecturally compatible with ours. And of course, there is my name again on that article. I didn't show it that well, but I have to hurry because I've run over my 20-minute time limit. Anyway, people, my most proud achievement came when the then mayor, Laura Miller, decided to take Dallas police leave down from 12 months to 6 months. I had spoken opposition at a city council meeting. I paid $1,700 to have a website built opposing the measure. The website was built by A.W. Brown Internet Technology Director Ben Solomon. I had flyers printed, and I picked up homeless people from the shelters downtown to help me distribute these flyers. Throughout the weeks, for the next 4 weeks, we distributed them all over Dallas, and we defeated that measure. Okay, see, I just never could sit back and do nothing. I've been a Democratic delegate to the state convention in 80, 84, 88, 92, 96, I was a Pat Buchanan delegate to the Republican convention because he said he would he would not sign NAFTA. Dole Clinton said they would sign NAFTA, and they did, and our factory jobs disappeared. You see, and when my parents came to me, this is important. They came to me in the late 1980s and told me they had lost their house, and they went to a mechanic's lien. I worked 6 jobs to get that house back for them. I had to pay all this money back. I worked full-time at Skyline, full-time at Two Pesos Mexican restaurant. I worked mowing yards. I taught night school. I taught summer school. I taught day school, coached girls soccer. That's money coming from 6 different sources to pay back the house. So why was I evicted from the home by Paula Dunn Brown, and why am I living in a homeless shelter right now? And why are my 6 Labrador retrievers, why were they sent to the pound? Okay, that's because of a fake will. Now, I am going to court on the 13th of August, which is next week, and I need an attorney. I need you to help me, but I'm going to show you some things really quickly about the veracity of Paula Dunn Brown and that will. Now, when you look at this, in filing the will 5 years late, Paula Dunn Brown said to me, she had sent an email that said there was, look at this, there was never a $600 discrepancy in our mother's medicine. No thanks to you. Her Medicaid was immediately restarted, which covered most of her medication. She needed $40 worth of medication, people. But she told the judge in a sworn statement, decedent did not apply for and had not received Medicaid benefits on or after March 1st, 2005. Now, which one is true, Mrs. Brown? Okay. And then she said to me, about me on my mother's funeral program. My mother prayed that God would lead him down the right path. James made it possible for her to care for her beloved CH, my dad. And she goes on and on and on, talking about how much I did for my dad. So that sounds like a lady who would want to put me out of my home. Okay, next. On her autobiography for the school, my sister says her daughter Nicole was a graduate of Texas Woman's University, majoring in kinesiology. My sister's daughter never graduated from anybody, anywhere. Anyway, people, I could go on and on and on, but I've run way over the 20 minutes that I have. People, I need your help with some attorneys. I'm going to straighten this problem out. We're going to get these people away from the school. What I need you to do right now, I have a GoFundMe account, so you can help me with some attorneys, because these people have ruined every job I had. On my job I had, I would have made $144,000 this year. Instead, I've been in the hospital since January 2013 to July 2014 with Guillain-Barré. So I'm absolutely broke. And I have a GoFundMe account. Go to www.gofundme and look under James Dunn. Please contribute $20 or so if you can. Okay, or call me at area code 214-900-5833. Follow me on Twitter at James Williams Dunn on Twitter, or email me at jameswilliamsdunn@yahoo.com. Now remember this. This new school rank for 2013 on children at risk lists A.W. Brown at 897 out of 1,047 schools. They fell from the top 20% to the bottom 15% and is now considered one of the worst after Attorney General Greg Abbott made them take true tax tests. After they did what they did to me, I had to turn them in. Okay, now, people, I work. I don't look for a handout. I don't want our students to look for a handout. And if you, and 2 weeks from now, I am going to post another video. It'll be better made than this. That'll tell you about the Democrats that try to keep this school going on and on and on. You may never want to vote Democratic again. Now, they're going to come up with some ad hominem arguments about me because my argument is airtight. But when you can't come up with an airtight argument, an ad hominem argument means you attack a person's personality. People, and after you finish this, not only call me, not only go to my GoFundMe account and put in some money for me, please. I've never begged anyone for anything because I work. But after 19 months of Guillain-Barré, I'm at this point. Please. And please call Chris Crock and tell him about this tape at WBAP. Chris Crock's number, Chris Crock, 214-288-9227. That's Chris Crock, 214-288-9227. Go to GoFundMe James Dunn. Call me at 214-900-5833. Follow me on Twitter, James Williams Dunn. Email me, jameswilliamsdunn.com. James Williams Dunn at yahoo.com. And email me, everybody. If you can't contribute money, email me and tell me if you think my mother's death was murder or did she die by cancer. And 2 weeks from now, I'm going to tell you about the elected Democratic officials who are so busy trolling for votes that they ignored everything that I'm telling you. You're going to be shocked. It's going to make the John Wiley, when I name names, it's going to make the John Wiley Price case look mild. Thank you. This is James Dunn.